See if I can do this right. Turning down my speaker audio. I gotta turn down the audio on iTunes so that I can have the music and talk at the same time. Oh, crap. You gotta bear with me, everyone. Reload this page real quick. There's probably gonna be an ad that plays. If an ad plays, I'm gonna pause the music so it can get real quiet. Don't play. We'll get started in a second. It's only one viewer, and I believe that's me. Okay. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay. I've got to adjust my levels. I don't want to be too loud. I'll probably have to turn off the music. The chat's loaded. If you're watching me now, you're watching me figure out what I'm doing. Okay, so let's get started. I turn off the music now because I just need to. I don't know if the music's playing through or not. I've never. I guess I should test it, but I'll test it after I watch this video tonight. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the Daily Study Group. My name is Miguel Coronado. I live in Austin, Texas. And you can find me online, facebook.com/IIIMCIII. You can go to my website, read my blog posts. I'll talk about the study groups and I'll post up work there. And generally discuss art stuff. www.mciii.net. And my username on YouTube is Mike086. You can find these videos and more on my channel. And you can also find me on DeviantArt, Crimson Daggers, conceptart.org, Instagram, Twitter, every social media outlet possible, Tumblr, Pinterest. My username is normally Mike086. Otherwise, just search my full name, Miguel Coronado, I. It's Miguel Coronado III. Yeah, if you're wondering what the I stands for, which you shouldn't if you know how Roman numerals work. Anyway, excuse me, if I clear my throat and it gets really loud, I apologize. Um, Good thing is my stream seems to not be playing the video, so I shouldn't have to suddenly pause the audio. Okay. Today we're going to be doing a master copy, master study. I'll show you what I picked, where I got the images from in a second. I'm just kind of setting up my file real quick. Right. Thank you for joining the daily study group. If you don't follow me and the study sessions today, you can follow CJ Marsh and his study sessions. We do different studies. We kind of keep on the same task. So whenever I'm doing a master study, he is too, but he's picking out his own thing. And after these first 7 days, we'll start changing up the study regimen. But anyway, let me get on to what we're doing here. So I picked out for my master work Goya's The Witches in Flight, created in 1798. Let me do a quick word on the master copies. I'm gonna cough real quick, so I'm gonna turn off my mic. Okay, so on the master copies. So there's different ways to go about this. I have some ground rules that I follow that you don't have to follow if you don't want to, but they're my rules for myself, and I'll explain them real quick. First off, hello Marjorie. Hello Martin. Happy New Year, Martin. So my ground rules start off, they're pretty basic. The person you're copying and the masterwork, they have to be dead, basically. They can't be a living artist, and there's a reason there's a reason I do it that way. I don't ever do any master copies from people on anyone on CG Hub is off limits. Anyone currently living or working as an entertainment artist is off limits. There's a few exceptions, right? And I'll go over those later. But general rule of thumb, if the guy is dead or the woman is dead, use their artwork. The reason I say that is because they've literally lived through their life, and they've made it to the peak of their career, and they're not going to go beyond where they got to. And lots of the people that are still up and at it, working, they probably haven't yet mastered what they're trying to do. They're still in the process of mastering it. And if you talk to them yourself, like the artists that are still alive and kicking, you'll find that they don't think that they're at all masters in any way. And most of the master works from the masters themselves. I mean, these guys didn't think they were masters. They thought they were just, they're guys doing their job. So, something else I wanted to do, along with the actual study of the painting, like, creating the image, I wanted to kind of research what exactly this painting is about, and this is completely optional. But if you're going to spend a couple hours looking at this one image and recreating it, you should at least try and look up what like why the artist made it. What was the purpose of this painting? Sometimes it'll be a really mundane painting, like it would be really mundane in the sense that it was a portrait that they were hired to do, which is great. Sometimes you're going to have a little more meaning behind them. In this case of Goya's, this painting was never released to the public until after his death. And there's a few things going on in the image I'm going to explain real quick. And I just read about it within the past 30 minutes, so I'm not by any means expert. But just a half hour of research, you can kind of figure out what exactly is going on and why this image exists before you go and devote some time into recreating it yourself. And like I said before, it's not by any means mandatory to research the painting. But for me, if I'm going to sit here and recreate this, I might as well figure out why the guy did it in the first place. Excuse me. I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot. I have a cough. So forgive me if I blow out your ears or something. Or turn on your headphones and don't suffer through it. So real quick, find the image. I just Google searched Goya, and I know this image, but I've never thought to actually do a master copy of it, so it's called Witches in Flight. Once I found the image and found out the name, I Google searched Goya, Witches in Flight, and I found the two slightly higher res images. And the reason I got two of them is because the camera, ignore that third one, the camera that took the pictures of this painting captured different colors in each version, and I'm willing to bet that the image on the right that's more orange is probably a better representation of what the painting looks like in life, and the image on the left looks like they restored some of the original colors. But I don't know that for a fact. Excuse me. So, had to cough again. So, like I said, I found two versions of the same painting online because unless you see the painting in person, like I have never seen this painting in person, so I have no idea what the colors actually look like. But what I'm going to do is I like the colors on the left more than the colors on the right. That yellowing can be a factor over time with oils. So anyway, let's go into this a little bit real quick before I start working. And I'm actually going to spend probably longer than an hour on this today. But excuse me. This painting, Goya lived through the Spanish Inquisition, so lots of these black paintings are his way of making a commentary on what the government and the church was doing at the time. And I can try and equate what was going on to a modern time, but it doesn't really work. You can't really do that. But what I will say is that the Spanish Inquisition was going on, and there was a persecution of witches in the Basque region. So, excuse me. So, with that in mind, you got to understand why the image was created. And there's a series of these paintings. They're called the Black Paintings from Goya. And there's also a series of witch paintings he did. But Goya was liberal and a rationalist. But you got to keep in mind that to be a liberal and a rationalist in the late 1700s was completely different from being a liberal now and a rationalist now. So to say that he was a liberal or a rationalist doesn't really mean the same thing. Because a liberal American, I'm from Texas, so I'm American. A liberal American in 2014 is going to be completely different from a liberal Spanish man from 1780, 1700s. So anyway, um, this is another image I found. This little one here. This little image, what I wanted to talk about real quick was some compositional things that I discovered when I was reading about the other image that I'm going to recreate. They had this image up here too, and they discussed a few things, and I want to just share that with you because I thought it was really interesting. So, in typical portrayals of witches and Satanism, one thing you're always going to notice is that the devil, or the evil being, always has his left arm and left side featured versus the right. And that's a way to, what they do is you take all the conventions of like religious art and you flip them. You literally just, like, when you go from like Jesus with his hand out here, you got to make the devil have his hand out here. It's just a literal opposite of religious paintings, right? But something else that's going on in this image. So the left arm of the goat is outstretched. But you also have the moon, the crescent moon, excuse me, in the left portion of the canvas. With the crescent moon also, the half of the moon that's being exposed is the left half. Now I say left, I mean the goat's left. So we'll call this, let's think of this as a camera. Let's say a camera, or I guess actor, right? The goat, Satan. Satan's left. The moon is facing in the same direction Satan's left arm is facing. Right? And then in this painting, you have there's a series of bats flying, and they're kind of hard to see. But and remember, there's some numerical substance here. There's 6 bats flying in the air, not 3, 6. And in particular, oops. The bats you really gotta notice are these 3. And then along with the arc of the women, these women here in the foreground are closer to the camera, closer to the eye of the artist, and they're in greater contrast and have a higher saturation. So what you're doing here, excuse me, crap. What we've got going on is an echoing rhythm. An echoing rhythm of the crescent moon, the crescent bats, and the crescent women. Kind of just echoing that shape. It kind of keeps, you can kind of think, I think the horns are kind of, in a way, that same motif. It's just like this curve. The fact that you have a curve facing left. It's all left to the goat, not to the actual left of the canvas. It's the goat's left, right? So, anyway, I thought that was a really cool thing that was going on in the image. The other thing you gotta notice, I believe there are 6 dead babies or dying children, and then there's one that's alive. But whether that's of real significance or not is, I mean, I'm not sure. Probably is. I mean, I didn't really read into it, so I'm kind of just guessing that. But I am noticing that we've got 3 dead children on a stick, another dead child, and there's the legs of another one here. This one's emaciated, it looks like he's about to die. And then you got the live one that's healthy. So you got these 6 dead children, 6 bats, and I think we can even say you have in the foreground there's 6 women that are not, these women in the background, but those women in the background are desaturated. They're kind of thrown back with this tan, this like a beige color. But in the foreground you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 women, 6 dead babies, 6 bats. The women in the background, there's, let's see, a faceless woman here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Yeah, I don't think that the women in the background don't really count. I mean, they count, but like, as far as my little idea that there's a motif of 6 going on. Anyway, I just thought that was cool. I wanted to point that out. Now that I've done that, I'm going to close this image because I'm not actually going to do anything with that one today. And I'm going to pull open my other 2 images I had. So like I said, I have 2 versions of the same image. I'm going to be copying the left version, but I kind of wanted to show that when you're picking out these images online to do a master copy, you got to really choose wisely, trying to find the best image possible. What I didn't show you is another image I found of the same painting, and it's basically a scan of a book with this image, and so you don't get to see all the brushstrokes. Like the brushstrokes on the chest here, they're not visible in the other image that I found, because the image that I found was from a book. So you see the dots from the book printing, and you know, you don't want that. You want to be able to see the brushstrokes. So cool. We'll get started in a second. I'm going to take this image, the same image, actually I'm just going to put it next to me, next to this other one. So what I'm going to do is, I've duplicated the same image. I'm going to open up my canvas a little bit so I get some more space. I'm going to shrink this part down. Okay, so if you haven't found your image yet, go ahead and pull it up now. Okay, here we go. Trying to figure out something. Okay, so I've duplicated the same image, and with the image to the right, excuse me, I'm going to be putting on a color overlay. And I'm just going to turn it to like I'm just going to turn it to white, and then I'm just going to work from white, and then create a new layer. I'm just going to flatten that basically all I did was I created a rectangle the same size as the painting. Excuse me. So I'm gonna try and see if I can't put some music on while I'm doing this, so it's not completely just me talking. But the black background looks like it's a poor choice in backgrounds. I might do a little bit lighter gray, just because it looks a little too... There we go. It's a little easier to look at. I'm just going to create a mask real quick for my layer, just because I don't want to go into the gray. This time around, I'm not going to limit my brush set. I'm going to go ahead and pick a brush that I want to use now, and I might switch it up later. But like before, I'm going to focus on color picking with my eyesight. I'll double check my colors and values with the color picker tool. And yeah, I'll double check with the color picking tool. And I'll work on one layer. I won't do the undo button, and I'm not going to use a lasso tool or marquee tool, magic wand tool, transform, distort, liquefy. I'm not going to do any of that. I will check the chat real quick though and see what people might be saying. If I can find it. Hello to everyone. Marjorie. Fellas. 6 humans. 666. Cracked. Marjorie. CJ's live stream is being stupid today. Yeah, I think it kind of is, CJ. It's live stream right now. My if you look at my screen, it's not streaming me, and I'm live. So I hope all y'all can see what's going on, which I assume you can, because you can hear me. But anyway, let me see if I can't get the music on. I'm gonna try and put some music on, and if it's too... I refreshed, it worked. Yeah, we're good. Cool. I can now see. Cool. I'm not going to refresh because I don't want the commercial to play and be allowed. The rain is gone. Oh, I just got that. I'm going to turn on some music, and if ideally y'all could hear it in the background and it won't overtake what I'm saying, but let's see. Let me try it out quick. Y'all tell me what's going on though. This is me talking with music on. Can you hear the music? That's music. This is me talking. This is music and me talking at the same time. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me check the chat real quick. I wish my chat actually worked. So I assume y'all can hear me. Repin, yeah, I just discovered kind of Repin's work. Like, I just kind of realized who he was and everything. Repin? Yeah, that's Repin. Let's get going though. Okay, let me start now. I'm going to start up my timer. But I'm kind of not gonna. I'll probably go over an hour, just because I want to actually make it somewhat presentable. The study. Yesterday's study was a little rough. I'm gonna start up an hour, starting now, and as soon as I start the hour, I'm gonna just start working. And like the other studies, the movement of the stylus is what's important. So you can't slack off with the moving of your hand. Don't stop to think. Just do it, and then begin the thought process as you work. My brush is so slow right now. I'm gonna have to resize my image. It's because I'm streaming. Okay. So, I'm not too concerned with the color matching right now. My lesson I learned from yesterday is I gotta block out the shapes with whatever colors I got. I can go back in and add in the other colors later. But my values are definitely off right now. That's okay, because I could build them up as I keep working. So about this piece. So I told you about the other piece. And the research I did about this piece in particular was brief. I read about two write-ups on it, just that were online. Nothing like crazy, right? Nothing. I didn't go look up a book at the art library. Sorry, the art library is the library at the University of Texas, the Fine Arts Library. I actually should go there, but they got like a amazing selection of books and all kinds of books on artists and catalogs of gallery work and such, and plays. But in this piece in particular, it's called "The Witches in the Air," I believe, or "Witches Afloat in the Air." I drink some coffee. This piece has got some very cool stuff going on in it. In particular, the symbolism in the image. It's quite literal, and I'll explain a little more about that as I get closer in. For now, I'm just going to focus on blocking this out, getting the values to match, and making headway through this. I want to kind of bust this piece out the way I would if I wasn't talking the whole time. After the stream, something I'm going to do is I got to make a promotional image for Vampires. Vampires is this film project I'm working on with my girlfriend and some friends here in Austin. We're going to do a Kickstarter for it, try and see if we can't raise some money to make this movie. But as part of my, I'm calling it part of my endless summer pitch in the Crimson Daggers Forum. It's not, I mean, when I started it, it wasn't part of the endless summer pitch, but it just so happened that the week I started up work on it, that the endless summer pitch challenge was created. So it felt like serendipitous that I should make that my endless summer pitch. So I'm going to do a promotional image that basically says Happy New Year from the Vampires team. And I'll be doing that live after I'm done with the study. So I'll be up for a little bit working on that. I'll be listening to music, but if people want to chat or something, I can talk to you. In fact, we could actually do that thing where, like, I stay on the live stream and someone Skypes in and we talk over Skype. I've never done that before, but I'm pretty sure it's going to kill my connection. But it's worth a try. So, anyway. It's interesting hearing CJ had some really good information on his video from the movie still study. CJ had a really good point that you should try and pick out, if you're doing a movie still or a photo study, kind of on a whim, if you feel like I'm just going to do like an hour of study today, try and think about the actual work you're doing for clients or your personal work, and always try and gear your studies to be slightly relevant to that, so that you can you can actually like get immediate application of what you're studying as soon as you're done, which I kind of did yesterday. I didn't go out of my way to. The piece I did yesterday has nothing to do with what I'm working on. I'm working on like a lich necromancer thing, and it has nothing to do with sci-fi, and the textures didn't really do anything, but the composition and the storytelling helped. Composition and storytelling, that's something I'm really focusing on right now. I gotta become a stronger storyteller visually. So that's one of the reasons I like I kind of did some research on these pieces because I wanted to figure out what exactly was going on in these. Excuse me. A brief word on my brush that I'm using. I picked out like a hairbrush. It's just I'm gonna color pick the white just so I can show you. It's just like this, several dots, and it looks like a bunch of hairs. And I did that so I can kind of mimic having a paintbrush. It's not exact, but you get the idea. So lots of Goya's work in this piece. You could see where the bristles like laid the paint down, and it's very interesting how he did that. In fact, this donkey that I'm working on right now, we zoom in to take a look. The donkey's only a few brushstrokes of like work. It's like you see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8 brushstrokes maybe. It looks like it was accomplished in 8 brushstrokes. I'm not gonna be able to do that entirely because I'm not actually working with real brush and real paint, so sorry, I'm texting somebody. But don't do that if you're doing your studies. Don't text anyone. Just keep working. Okay, so anyway, I can't exactly get that. I mean, like, I could do the stroke economy as Goya, but it's not going to look exactly the same, and I kind of want to match it up to a T, just to try it. Not like not that it entirely matters. feel like the more important part of the masterwork is to kind of pick up on the composition and like the composition and what do you call it? The values, you know, the values and the hues, the same things we're doing on the other studies that we do together. That same focus. So anyway, I gotta jump off that. I almost said I gotta jump off that donkey, but we don't want to say that because that's weird. Okay, let me see. 1 hour is before. Take the spacing to about 25. The lag should stop. Spacing. I don't know what that means. Is it in my live stream thing? Spacing is 25. I don't know what that means. If y'all could hear me over the music, it's better. Brush spacing. Oh. Oh, the spacing. Oh, earlier. You were talking about. Okay. Never mind. I'm thinking about music. Sorry. Thanks. I'll try that out. Spacing 25. Okay, so let me get these I gotta block out these dudes or else I'm gonna mess up terribly like last time. If any of y'all... Whoa, spacing at 25. 25? Nah, I'll keep it down. I'll just let it lag. In fact, I'll do another brush quick. Do a chalky brush here. Okay. So, okay, when I block out images typically, I find it's better that I do it really fast. Because you get a more natural kind of gesture. So it looks like the foot starts right here, so just almost don't even look at... My eye isn't on my own canvas, it's only on the canvas to my left. Try to get an approximation of everything. It works better with like more figures and gesture, but I really wanted to try and just get that in there real quick. Okay, so anyway, get these figures blocked out because I don't want that thing to happen like last time where at the end of the piece I'm just completely off with my proportions. And if any of y'all saw yesterday's video or were live yesterday for any length of time, you'll notice that at the end my study was completely off from the actual photo, the movie still. So what's going on in the piece? What's going on in the piece is there are 3 witches levitating a man who's struggling against them. And they appear to be either like biting him or kissing him or like sucking on him somehow. they're doing something and he's not happy. And then the man underneath is walking through underneath the witches with a blanket over his head so he can't see anything. And his hands, if you notice the hands, they're making a particular gesture, which is the thumb between the index and the middle finger. Both of his hands are doing that. And then the other man is on the ground, facing away, covering his ears, so he can't see or hear anything. And this other man's blind, and he's blindly walking underneath these witches attacking this man. And the gesture he's doing with his hands, that the thumb through the index finger and the middle finger, is a particular gesture called the mano fico, or the fig hand, which it's a gesture that represents its obvious imitation of heterosexual intercourse. So, but one of the reasons people started doing this gesture originally was it's a protection against the evil eye. So, it's protection against the evil eye, and it was found in Italy, America, on Italian immigrants. But it's protection against the evil eye. So what the man is doing is his hand gesture, which signifies the warding off of evil. And he's blindly warding off evil. And he's walking underneath this hovering kind of atrocity. And this other man's covering his ears, so he's deaf and blind, facing away from the atrocity at hand. But while he's facing away from the atrocity at hand, he's still trying to ward off evil. So he's ignoring this. He can't see it because he's covered up his head. And he's just going to power through and ward off evil and just keep walking. This guy is just almost given up. And then there's this donkey, which is didn't really read up what exactly the donkey's there for, but it's basically kind of a symbol of the church at the time. They were afraid of this witchcraft and Satanism and Jewish people, and the Spanish Inquisition was going on, and they were blindly fighting off evil while ignoring the realities of what they were doing, which at the time they were like literally killing people and burning them at the stake and torturing them because they thought they were witches. They were locking them up in prison and persecuting them. So, it's kind of a general, quick kind of lesson in like what that means. So like to have a person literally blind in your own image. And this works for illustration too, but I mean this is kind of illustration entirely. To have someone in your image with obscured vision, that's telling the viewer something. There's a reason that you did that, you can't just throw shit into your drawings and your paintings, because as a concept artist or an illustrator or a painter, everything you do means something. So to just blindly go out and sorry, I'm trying to delete something. on my phone. To blindly go out and just throw in something into your image without considering what it would mean to do that, it makes a big difference. Like in my art class, one of the things I've learned, this is just kind of, this applies to illustration. It doesn't it's not just like a art, fine art thing, but someone was kind of decorating a project, a random, like a mobile. They were decorating it arbitrarily with like triangles, circles, and then this like plus sign shape. And our instructor stopped when we went through our critique and said, you know, why did you? What's the significance of your crucifix? And they were like, oh, I didn't mean to draw a crucifix. I just meant to put in an image. Like I put in a random design just to make it look nice. And you know, the basic thought is, with any kind of artwork, you can't throw in a cross shape typically and just arbitrarily, like, you can't just throw it in and then not expect people to read into it. You have to know better. Like a crucifix, like a cross shape, that's like, it can only mean reference to, like, in art, it almost only ever means a reference to Christianity. So you gotta be careful about putting that kind of stuff in some images. Now it's different if it's like a commissioned piece for a art director or something, you know, like, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about like your personal work. And if your work's like an orc or something and there's a cross shape or something, I mean, it's still going to be kind of weird to have that just arbitrarily thrown in. It all has to mean something. It has to be there for a reason. You know, you gotta have a reason to have it in. You can't just throw it in there. So anyway, the moral of the story is, the reason this one guy is down there being painted in like that, with his gestured hands warding off the evil eye, you know, it was all carefully designed, carefully placed. It wasn't random, and it wasn't just like a cool thing that Goya decided to do. So anyway, yeah, keep that in mind just when you do your own work. That's something I got ever since I remember my instructor telling me that, like telling everyone that you know, like, you can't just throw in an image like that, like a symbol like that, and not expect people to read into it. You know, I've always remembered that, and it's just, you can argue against that. You can say, well, just because I put in like a plus sign or something doesn't mean it has anything to do with Christianity. But you know, you're arguing against the rest of the world. You know, you're arguing against everyone that ever envisioned that symbol as something, whether you like it or not. But I'm trying to say, like, it means something to other people, so you can't help it. And the same thing for like a sickle and hammer. To arbitrarily include like a sickle and hammer into a piece of artwork, it's like instantly something about communism. Unless, I mean, well, yeah, I mean, unless it's like an illustration for like some kind of game where there happens to be a person reaping in the fields, and then in the foreground a blacksmith working on metalwork. But even then, the person playing the game might look at it and go, oh, that's strangely communist imagery going on in this image. And they might come back and say, I wonder why the artist did that. I wonder why the art director put that in there. And it might have been an accident, but people will read into it whether you like it or not. So it's the same reason, like if you draw like a fox with a laser gun, people are just gonna say Star Fox. Like, it's just the fact. Like, Star Fox, that is Star Fox now. Sorry, whether you liked it or not, your image became Star Fox. Or like now with like a guy in a red shirt with blue suspenders is Mario with a black mustache or without, like strangely close to Mario. Everyone thinks that now. So you can't just throw that in certain images, because someone out there is going to say, hey, it's Mario, whether you like it or not. Anyway, I'm not really talking about the actual I'm not talking at all about this in master study, but I'm really just blocking out the shape of the bodies here, kind of like one person at a time, trying to go slow. Anyway. Blocking out the shape of the bodies. I'm trying to generally come in with some values, cut into the forms that I like, or that I want, and that I have to recreate, and then kind of jumping around, going back over to other forms, and I'm using this background, this like dark background value to correct myself by cutting out certain images. See, I don't know if these people floating in the air, if they're supposed to be women or just like people. I can't tell if, like, on this image, I don't know if this here, this little shape, is the breast of the woman that is shirtless, or if it's the guy's. Hold on, my pin's not right. There we go. If it's the guy's hip from his legs. And I just can't tell. I don't know. I think it's the guy's hip. If I follow the shape around, it makes sense as his hip, because then you got the other one right here. But I don't know for sure. It could just be that this is a shirtless woman, but she's got short hair, and I feel like they didn't really. I don't think Goya portrayed women with short hair like that typically. I don't know. I'm not like an expert in Goya. I just like his work. But whatever. Anyway, I'm just noticing that. Just wondering what it is, what to do, basically, like what direction I should go. So. Yeah. Anyway, I'll take a sip of my coffee. What I need to do one of these days coming up is I got to do a study on my own without live streaming it, so I can move a little faster and just not have to worry about talking. But I like this because you kind of have to do the studying once you get onto the live stream. I think everyone's probably heard this little spiel before, but like, to just do a study like here in my room and listen to music is one thing, but to do a study and have people like watching you, expecting you to say something about it, and like, at least, at the very least, say like, oh, this is hard, like, or this is more challenging than I thought it was. Keep showing your toes. And I'm kind of like constantly trying to figure out new things that I'm noticing, so I can kind of like announce it while I'm doing the work. I don't just want to be silent on here. I don't just want to play music either, because it's too easy to just play the music and then like have people come in and be like, oh, he's drawing and he's not saying anything. So I'll just watch him for a little bit. You know, I'll just watch him for a little bit then go. It's not the same as someone talking on the stream. But then also like someone actually trying to say something. I'm trying to say things that are relevant and somewhat interesting to hear versus random stuff, and especially like incorrect things. So I guess a disclaimer, I don't think I said this yet, but a quick disclaimer. I'm by no means like a teacher. I'm not doing this to teach anyone. I'm doing this to teach myself. So if you ever hear me say something that's incorrect about like all the little bits of art history I just spouted off from my quick Google search, then by all means correct me. Just let me know. But otherwise, I'm not here to teach so much as I'm here to do my own study, and if you want to follow along, I invite you to do so. But I'm not trying to force anything on you. I don't care if you actually if you actually do this or not. It's not as important as me doing it. I mean, I could do the studies on my own and just benefit from doing them, but doing them live on here like this, it's just a way to kind of connect with everyone else and people that are doing it. Like, there's some guy out there that's brand new. There's some guy out there that's brand new who hasn't started any kind of artwork yet, and he's pouring through the artwork of some of his favorite movies or games, or like he's seen James Jean, or like Dave Raposa, James Zapata. He's seen some artists and he's been thinking, oh, I want to do that for a living, and I want to start now. And they're completely brand new, and they have no clue what's going on with the industry or how the industry works. And ideally what's going to happen is they're going to Google search like, how do I study, or like they're going to look on YouTube and be like, studying art, painting, and this video, maybe someone else's from the group, their video will pop up and they'll say, oh, this someone's actively just going through what they do, and I can just follow along. That's great. Because the video, like right now, this video that I'm making, that if I had seen this when I first started out, I would have been like, oh my god, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I can just follow along with whoever this person is, and it'll feel like kind of feels like you're sitting in with them, like as they draw, even though you're not. So lots of the reason I'm doing this is like, these are the videos I wish I had when I started. And then also I've been here, I mean, like I told you before, CJ and I were talking in the Google Hangout, and I had heard about kind of the way Crimson Daggers was run originally, only recently, within the last month or so. Maybe not the last month, but like within the last couple months. I remember hearing, I don't know who it was, someone was talking about how the Crimson Daggers worked and how it used to work, and it was basically just a different model for the group. I mean, it wasn't intended to be like a big forum or anything. It kind of just took off that way. But when I started talking to CJ about exactly like how was it originally, I saw like, I was attracted to the idea of an actual like study group, and the idea that people would meet up every day to just study and practice getting better. So anyway, I like talking with other artists about art, talking to people about what it is I do. There are people that can tell their own stories. This is off. There's something off here. his head is like off completely. So don't be afraid to paint over anything, right? You know, like when you mess up, like even if it's your own work, when you mess up like that and you're like, oh, my drawing's completely off, or my image is completely off, just go in there and change it. It's your own drawing. It's not like it's going to matter if you can't get it wrong or right yet because you're in the middle of working on it. So to say you got something wrong is false because you haven't even finished it yet. That's like saying you got a math problem wrong, but you haven't even started the equation. It's just impossible. You can't get a math problem wrong without starting the equation up. So, anyway. Yeah, so these are the videos I kind of wish I had originally. The one I did about the Massive Black Workshop, I don't think I'd ever seen... I heard Dan Warren and Dave Raposa on their Crimson Conversations. I've heard them talk about the Massive Black Workshops, and they were the first people I heard... they were the first two that I heard talk about the workshops as basically just like the thing to go to if you're any way interested in doing this for a living. And then, but they didn't really talk too much about how it was, like what goes on during the workshop, like what's actually happening, like not the daily events, not like the demos and the people giving talks, but the social stuff, like the stuff that is not on the agenda. They were the first people I heard say, like, you just need to go. Like, it just understood, like, you just have to go to it and just check it out yourself. And it's kind of hard to explain when you do go. It's kind of hard to explain exactly what it was. Like, in a way, it's not... in a way, the event's not that big a deal. Because, like, it's only a big deal to people that are doing it. Like, if you see Keikai Kataki and talk to him and say hello, it's only a big deal if you're any way interested in artwork and Keikai's work, and like if you even know who he is, because lots of people don't know who. I don't play a bunch of video games, and like if I didn't follow other artists, I would have no idea who he is and like his artwork. And I only know of what's the game he did? What's the game called? Guild Wars. I only know of Guild Wars because of his art. Like, Guild Wars to me doesn't exist as anything besides that's what Keikai Kataki worked on. You know. So, like, to describe the workshop to people that don't do this, it's just hard to explain what it is and why it was cool. Because, like, in the end, you're basically like, yeah, I got to eat pizza with some other guys that draw. And that's really all you said. Like, if these other people don't know who the artists are, all you've talked about is, like, how you had pizza with some people and you had coffee with some other people, and you're not going to see them again probably for a year. And that's it. You know. You don't understand the rarity. Trying to see this thing here. Something's going on in this hat thing that they're wearing. These little cones they're wearing. I don't know. This guy's cone's like split, and then it's kind of like feathered out. This value. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to be, but I'll come back to that later. I'm gonna work on the stuff I know, and then I'll come back and touch that up. It's a little off. Everything looks a little bigger in mine. But I guess the main reason that is because I'm still blocking things in. Like, I haven't come in here and I haven't sharpened up this guy's figure and form yet. But if you're wondering about the Massive Block Workshop and like what it means to go, what it's all about, you can go onto YouTube, and I have a video. I have 2 videos where I just talk about everything, everything about the workshop. And if you're interested in like going to one in the future, where you have no idea what exactly goes on and is it worth it? Like, is it worth that much money to go and meet? You know, is it just worth that much money to go and actually try and like learn something, or is it better to just buy some DVDs? You know, for the price to go to a workshop, you could buy a bunch of like Gnomon DVDs if you wanted to like really just buckle down and study from the DVDs or something. But there's a reason you go, and one of the reasons is that it's not a DVD. So that's one of the reasons you go. It's not anything like buying a DVD and watching it. But anyway, my YouTube channel is Mike086. It's my username. If you look that up, you should be able to find part 1 and part 2. In part 1, I talk about kind of the general setup of the place and like what it was, and then I go over some of the techniques that I learned. I only learned a few. I didn't learn a bunch of stuff. And then part 2, I talk about the critiques that I received, the live critiques I received, which were really cool. And if you do ever have a critique with a professional, like a professional working artist that you admire, or that you just, you know, that inspires you, or just a professional working artist that's actually working and doing something that you want to do, whether they inspire you or not. If you ever go to get a critique from them, keep in mind that you should bring your sketchbook and let them see your sketchbook along with your portfolio. And the reason that is because a professional artist can give you feedback on not just your work, but how you practice and how you develop your ideas. And but they can only do that if they have your sketchbook to look at, because you know, they got to see what it is that you do when you're thinking in your private time, when you're working on stuff, or before you worked on stuff. Like, what did you do to like develop certain ideas, or did you not do that, or did you just doodle anime, or what? Like, it helps if they know, so they could help you. Anyway, that's something that I learned fairly quickly on the critique days, that you need to bring your sketchbook. I didn't have mine, but I got lots of valuable feedback. It depends on your place too. The place you're at in your like development in your career, it will determine how the workshop is going to go for you. And by I mean that, I mean like literally how it goes for you. Like, if I had gone to the workshop like in 2012, it would have been a completely different experience for me. I mean like, for one, I wouldn't have any work to show. So the critique times, I probably wouldn't have known to just come with my sketchbook and get some feedback. But but yeah, like but going this last year, like I've had a few little jobs here and there, and like I know where I want to go with my career, and the workshop cemented that for me. So that's kind of invaluable. Something I want to quickly do is I just want to select this image. I'm going to open up a new document real quick and just paste that image. And I just wanted to check out the composition as far as the rule of thirds goes. And I kind of guessed it, but there's something going on here, right? So what is going on here is that lots of the subject matter in this image is right on, it's almost exactly, it's going on the median, these thirds. It's a little lower, right? So like it's a little, it's just off from that, but it's so close. Like this guy's head is like intersecting that bottom third division, and then the figure of this man in pain is just below that third. But then all of the main action, as far as like figures are concerned, is right in the center third. Let's take a look real quick. Like the majority of everything is right in the center, but not, it's like not really in the outer third area, right? So you kind of see how that works out. The rule of thirds, like it's a simple rule, but like you can use it at such a basic level, and it kind of creates a nice impact. Let's check out the golden spiral real quick. The spiral's facing this way, but I feel like if I could get this image to flip somehow. Hold on a quick, let me see if this works. Yeah, that worked. So I flipped the image, and the reason I flipped the image is because I wanted to kind of show you how the elements of the painting correspond with that golden spiral. Like the figures are just touching, they're just off from the center of that, and it's very much it's so close, you know, like it's right. I think the center of the spiral is like right here, and if you kind of see where the action encompasses, it's like some of the hottest, like the hottest contrast, like the lightest lights and the darkest darks are right here, and then down here with the man walking blindly, but like got these figures up here right on top of that. Let's try out another one real quick just to double check like what's going on with the different rules, see if they correspond to multiple rules. The golden ratio, in terms of the golden ratio, it looks like we've kind of got the opposite of what's going on with the rule of thirds, where I guess it's not the opposite, it's almost the same. The majority of the figures are on this top third, this top section, and then the majority of the action down here is on the bottom. Something you've got too with the figures, with their shapes, is you read, I feel like the way I'm reading it, like when I close my eyes and I open it real quick, I'm reading it like this. I'm reading it like, kind of like that. And basically at first, I close my eyes, I'm going to wait a couple seconds and I'll just look at it, and my eyes are kind of drawn here, more so than here. and what I'm seeing is like you can kind of follow this guy's body into this. This one figure right here is more prominent as far as contrast goes, and then his foot leads to this hand. And the hand leads to this really bright white cloth, and then you kind of like go down into this other area of contrast. And then once you're down here, you kind of like scope out this whole area. So if we break up the shapes, kind of create that no-tan, but with hot pink. We get something like this, and this is actually broken here. And actually this one, I don't know what that is. There's some stuff in the background there. Kind of see how the shapes work. We can simplify it more, so let's simplify it even more. There we go. It's been simplified a little further. A circle and a triangle on a giant rectangle. Or we could say it's you could argue that it's like a triangle and a triangle. It's just two triangles. Either way works, but if you really simplify it and break it down even further, you just got two triangle shapes right next to each other. Interesting, huh? Let's get back to the actual recreation now. Oops. There we go. Yeah, so back to what we're doing. See what I might do, now that I've started this, I feel like I might stop after the hour mark, just so I can get going with the vampires thing, because I kind of have to do that. It's like work for me, even though I'm not getting paid. It's like my own personal work, and it's more important than paid work. So I'm probably going to switch over to that after the hour goes off. And I don't know, it might be pretty soon actually. We'll see. Let me take a look. I haven't been working as hard as I should, but yeah, I only got like 6 minutes left. I'll keep working for a little bit longer, but I'll go over the hour mark, but I'm not going to I won't completely render this guy out or anything. Like again, so like yesterday, lots of what I'm picking up from this has to deal with composition and kind of story. Using symbols and postures and gestures to signify certain things and say things. So I'm getting out of this what I want to get out of it. And when we do the still lives coming up, I think the next one is going to be a still life. That's all just rendering, and that's all just making the thing look like whatever it is you're drawing, or trying to imply it. Maybe not necessarily doing it exactly, but attempting to imply what's going on with certain certain techniques. Still not orange enough. Looks much oranger than I thought it was. It's a little closer. But anyway. We get to the still live. What it looks like really will matter, you know. It's a little different. But part of the reason you do the master studies, the master copies, is like it's the composition and what's being shown, what's not being shown. That's what you got to think about while you're doing this. Otherwise, you could just study any kind of photo of like a train or something. I don't know why I said train just now, but something like that. Anyway, and like I said before too, an hour of study, these are great, but pretty soon, I'm going to do a longer than an hour. It's kind of late tonight. I mean, it's getting late because I know I have to do more work, but I might be making up excuses. I feel like I might be catching myself making up excuses, but I'd like to do a longer study. I'd rather do like a 3-hour study when it comes to like a still life. The longer you work on it, it's the better, in my opinion. The speed stuff's good too, though, but I don't think it's as important. In fact, if you had to choose between only doing fast studies and only doing slow studies, I'd pick slow studies. It's also kind of meditative. You kind of just listen to music and just do your study, and that's, you know, just focus on what you're looking at and going back in and changing things if you need to. And so the long study is what I prefer. I'm going to check the chat in a second. I just got to remind myself to do that because people are watching this. So I know Marjorie in the chat is doing some live stream studies. I saw her thread, and Cracked, I believe, is doing them. I think Jones Soda did them in the forum. CJ Marsh. And like I said, if there's a day where I'm not, I think CJ's mentioned it too. If there's a day where one of us isn't doing the study live, the other one should be. Or there's a chance that one of these new people that have started up the daily studies will be doing it. But remember, it's like something you can't really ever, whether you live stream it or not, you have to do the studies. Like, you have to keep doing them every day. And whether you like it or not, you're going to end up doing them. So, like, what I find myself doing, if I don't actively study every day, I end up doing a lot of practice and reference studies for a particular piece out of necessity. Excuse me. Out of necessity, because I haven't been doing the daily studies, so I'll have to like make time to do like a wrinkle reference or like a facial expression for a drawing. And whenever I use like a photo for lighting, like if I take a photo of myself for a lighting reference, I always find that it's pretty much like doing a study where I'm never actually drawing myself. I'm always drawing like a monster or like a vampire thing or something evil. It's never just a person. So Hey, something else, if you notice this, I'm just kind of picking it up now. But this foot, oops, this foot on this witch, I'm blocking it in right now, but I'll put in like the highlight where the light's hitting it. So the highlight is hitting it like right here, and the foot's kind of creating this arrow because it's like a little triangle. It's this little visual arrow that's pointing to this figure at the bottom. So these 2 feet are actually, they're kind of pointing to, like, if you follow it, crap, wrong way. If you follow the foot and the foot, they're kind of pointing to his hands. And since his face is obscured, there's like no face, right? Because he's got his hood on, or his like blanket, whatever it is. You can't see his face, so there's nothing really for you to look at as far as like an expression or eyes. But what you can see very prominently is that his hands are outstretched. And if you did notice him at first, they got these 2 feet pointing him out to you. And they kind of lead exactly to the hands. And those hands happen to be, like we discussed before, they're warding off evil. Which is an important theme in this piece. And we can't, I mean, like, when you kind of interpret art like that, like, you can't actually, lots of people often when they're talking about history, they kind of compare history to like modern day times, and you can't do that. It's just impossible. I mean, like, you can do it, like, you can actually compare, like, it's not impossible to think about it, but typically people are wrong when they do that, because it's just a complete, you just don't know what was going on at this time unless you were there. It's impossible for you to understand what those people were thinking, what they were going through, especially in this case. Like, this is a situation where like we could easily draw a conclusion and a parallel between the government witch hunts of the Spanish Inquisition, the church and government sanctioned witch hunts, and like the NSA spying on American citizens, right? You could say that like this, the idea is the similar, like that the government is overstepping power in the name of a greater good, right? That's kind of what they were doing with the church. But it's just a completely different situation, and you just can't compare it. It doesn't really matter that you can say that, because like the NSA spying on American citizens and like international leaders will never be people being tortured and accused of witchcraft and then like burned alive or something, or drowned. Like, it's just completely different. Like, it's just a different scenario. You can't pretend that it's going to somehow match up. It's just too different. Anyway, so always got to be wary of that kind of stuff in both history and art history. I don't think they do it in art history as much, but definitely in history, you always find people like comparing past events, and they try and draw parallels to modern things. And then when you actually do research about like the people that they're talking about, oftentimes the people drawing the comparisons are just completely wrong, or they're just not considering some of the facts. Excuse me real quick, I gotta answer a text message. Okay, sorry. So enough about history and our history. Oh, I gotta check the chat. I'm just checking to see what's going on here. Splash Space and hey Miguel, I'm gonna hop into one of the hangouts for a bit. Send a Facebook message or Skype message if you want to hop into Skype when your study's done. Miguel, I'm gonna hit the hay. Thanks for taking time to do the streams. I shall be studying my study tomorrow. See you guys later. Cracked Skull. Well, 1 hour is up. Had fun. It was challenging. BRB. Cool. Okay, everyone. I'm going to work on this a little bit further. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the stream and then come back on so that I can save it. But I've got to work on my stuff for vampires. It's a mandatory thing. It's a mandatory quest. And if you don't play Lords of Waterdeep, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It's a mandatory quest, people. But I have to do it. I gotta work on a vampire drawing. Cool thing is, I'm gonna talk to CJ when I come back on the stream. So, if any of you... a quick preface, though. I'm an illustrator living in Austin, Texas. I've worked for a couple small clients here. Lots of stuff in the local film scene. Which means you probably have never seen anything I worked on because it's local and it's probably not even been finished. So yeah, like I'm starting out. Just want everyone to understand that. I'm trying to make it big. Not make it big, but I say make it big as a joke. What I mean to say is I'm trying to just make a living. Trying to make a living off my art, solely from my art. And enough of a living so that I can, you know, live my life, get married, and have a fruitful life, take vacations, buy people Christmas gifts, important things like that, attend workshops, and arbitrarily visit other cities and meet up with artists. Those are some of the reasons I want to get regular work, so I can save up money, start saving up some money, and prepping for those big life things. Anyway, so I'm just starting out. Don't think that I'm anyone to really that has any kind of authority as far as like what I'm talking about. The only thing that I'm doing is talking out loud while I do my study. And I invite other people to try it because I feel like it's going to just open up some doors for other beginners that are out there. Y'all have to pardon me real quick. I have to do a quick thing. I'm just gonna mute my mic real quick. Check 1, 2. Okay, back. Turn off the music. I'm just gonna finish this up in a little bit. I mean, not gonna finish it up, but I'm gonna keep working just for a tad longer. And what I wanted to say was, I'm just starting out too, guys. So like, you're joining me literally as a study partner. You're not joining me as like, I'm not trying to teach. I'm trying to study with like-minded people. That's what I'm trying to do. So, anyway, you should feel free to... Oh, crap. Alright. You should also be... feel free to make these videos and study live. That way people can see what you're doing. And then more importantly, as you develop the people can come back, and when they're looking through your blog in the future, they'll be able to see where you started and where you've come to. So yeah, I'm going to finish this up. I'm probably going to continue this on the next time we have a master study. I'm going to finish working on this, so I'm going to save the file as it is, and then just come back to this. So I'm going to save this as like part 1, and then next time I do the continuation, I'll keep working on it until it's like completed. And this will be another way for me to do a nice long study over time. Really focus on this work. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream. I'm going to end the stream. Probably going to drink some coffee, make a phone call, and then I'm going to get back on the stream with CJ. And he and I are probably just going to chit-chat about art, studying. We're going to probably talk about this whole thing we've started, see thoughts on it, woes, talk about how hard it was to do a movie still in an hour and make it look decent while talking. But I'll be working on a vampire, and he'll be doing something, I don't know what. But anyway, so I'm going to save this now. I'll post it up in the forum. That's what I'll do. I'm going to post this up in the forum, and I'll get back on in a second. Get CJ on Skype. We'll chit-chat about stuff. Excuse me. Today's 5th. Okay. Closing it. I'll post it on the forum. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for staying here this daily study. The 7 of you who are here, I see you. You can find me online, www.mciii.net. I don't know, give me 15 minutes. I'll be back in 15. Be back in 15 minutes to work on a vampire. I'll probably get CJ on. We'll chit-chat. And yeah, talk to y'all later. Thanks for joining. If you didn't finish your master study, you should just save it, come back to it another day. That's what I'll do. So, anyway, cool. Keep on